Haley VO. They used to say I'd never make it, that I was too soft, too emotional. To me. And maybe for a while, they were right. This morning, as I stood by the tall glass window of my office, watching the early sun bounce off the tarmac, I almost laughed. Somewhere out there, my little brother was stepping off a military transport, assigned to a base he didn't realize I commanded. I straightened my uniform. The heavy fabric always carried a kind of authority I never thought I'd grow into. The silver stars on my shoulders caught the light. They still didn't feel real sometimes. My phone buzzed. A notification. Unit 47 arrived. Commander Marshall requesting briefing. I exhaled, slow and steady. Commander Marshall. My brother's CO. Funny how life circles back. The same family who told me I'd never last in training, now walking into my office, expecting to meet the general. The door opened with a soft mechanical click. Boots. Salutes. The room filled with that crisp military discipline I used to crave so badly. Then his eyes met mine. My brother froze. Commander Marshall's salute stiffened, midair.
His voice faltered.
"Ma'am," he whispered, eyes wide. "You're the general?" And for a moment, just a heartbeat, the entire weight of my past collapsed into silence. Pause, soft breath. "Yeah, I'm the general." Haley VO. It was a rainy night in June when I told them. The Brooks family dinner table, where dreams went to die politely. My father sat at the head, scrolling through his phone between bites of steak. My brother, Tyler, laughed too loud at something he'd said. Mom kept refilling glasses, pretending not to notice the tension that was already creeping into my voice. "I got accepted," I said. "Officer training. I start in August." Forks paused midair. Dad blinked. "Training for what, exactly?" "For the Army," I said, my heart hammering. "I'm going to serve." Silence, the heavy kind that makes you question every heartbeat. Then came the laugh. Low, sharp, dismissive. "Haley," Dad said, shaking his head. "You can't even finish a morning jog without quitting. The Army isn't a hobby." Tyler smirked. "Maybe they'll let you handle the cafeteria." Mom whispered, "Sweetheart, there are safer things for you. Teaching. Nursing. Something that fits you." "Fits me." Those words sank like lead. Haley VO. They saw me as fragile, the girl who cried at sad movies, who got dizzy during blood drives. But they didn't know how much I'd already endured quietly. I remember gripping the edge of that table so hard my knuckles went white. My throat burned. "I don't need you to believe in me," I said. "Just don't stand in my way." Dad leaned back, arms crossed. "You'll come running back within a month." I pushed my chair back. "Then I guess you'll see." Sound. Chair scrapes, door slams. Rain intensifies. That night, I packed everything I owned into one duffel bag. Mom stood in the doorway, wringing her hands. She didn't stop me, but she didn't hug me either. Before leaving, I opened the drawer of Grandpa's old desk, the one no one touched since he passed. Inside was his dog tag, worn smooth by time. He'd served too. Quietly, honorably. I looped it around my neck and whispered, "I'll make you proud." When I stepped out into that storm, the rain hit my face like cold glass. But it felt good, cleansing. Real. Haley VO. That was the night I stopped being the girl they doubted and started becoming the woman they'd one day salute. Haley VO. The first few weeks of basic training broke most people down. It nearly broke me, too. The morning started before sunrise, cold, sharp air biting at my lungs as I tried to keep up with everyone else. My arms ached, my legs shook, and my pride, well, that shattered daily. But every time I thought about quitting, I felt the cool weight of my grandfather's dog tag against my skin, a silent reminder that the Brooks name could mean something more than ridicule. "Brooks," the drill sergeant would bark. And every time I answered louder, stronger. Haley VO. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the toughest. But I was relentless. There were nights I cried quietly into my pillow, pretending to stretch just so no one would notice. There were mornings I taped my blisters and smiled anyway. Then came Lieutenant Grace Hollister, the first woman officer I'd ever seen command a room without raising her voice. She carried calm like a weapon, precise, controlled, respected. During a tactics exam, she stopped beside me, her shadow falling over my notepad. "You've got good instincts," she said, "but you think too much about who's watching." I froze, embarrassed. She smiled faintly. "Stop proving them wrong," she said softly. "Start proving yourself right." Those words changed everything. Sound, slow, rising tempo, weeks passing, montage style. Days blurred into months. Push-ups turned into medals. Mistakes turned into lessons. And the voice in my head, the one that used to sound like my father's doubt, began to fade. When my first assignment came, I was deployed overseas as an operations analyst. Not glamorous, but crucial. Every successful mission made me sharper. Every loss made me humbler. One night, after a particularly brutal operation, I sat under the stars, boots still caked with dust, staring at the tag around my neck. It wasn't just Grandpa's anymore. It was ours. His courage. My promise. Haley VO. I learned that strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It's showing up, again and again, when everyone's already given up on you. Years passed. Promotions came quietly.
I stopped updating my family.
Stopped posting photos. Every holiday call felt like a polite check-in from strangers. They still thought I was getting by. Meanwhile, I was commanding units, leading missions, sitting in rooms where decisions changed lives. Sound, muffled applause, voice of a superior officer echoing faintly. Major Haley Brooks, for exceptional service. When I pinned my first silver star, I smiled, not for them, but for the version of me that refused to stay small. I bought a little apartment near DC. A few plants. A coffee mug that said, "Rise before sun, win before noon." It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. And yet, deep down, a small part of me still wondered what they'd say, if they could see me now. Would Dad still call me fragile? Would Tyler still laugh?
Pause.
Sound fades to silence. Haley VO. Maybe I didn't need their approval anymore.
Maybe.
I'd already outgrown it. Haley VO. You'd think after 10 years of command, after deployments, medals, and crises, nothing could shake me. But that morning, I felt it, that small tremor in my chest. The one that only family can cause. The knock came exactly on time. "Enter," I said, steadying my voice. The door opened. Commander Marshall stepped in first, tall, broad-shouldered, carrying the kind of authority earned by battle and years. Behind him, my brother, Tyler Brooks. He looked older, leaner, but the arrogance in his stance? Unchanged. His eyes swept the office, the framed awards, the gleaming desk, the U.S. flag pinned perfectly behind me, before landing on me. And I swear, I saw the exact moment his confidence cracked. "General Brooks," Commander Marshall began, snapping a salute. "It's an honor, ma'am." I returned it smoothly. "At ease, Commander. Welcome to Fort Aldridge." Tyler's mouth twitched, like he wanted to speak, but couldn't find the right word. For once, silence suited him. The commander continued. "We were told to report for the briefing, ma'am. My unit will integrate with your command structure effective immediately." "Excellent," I said, gesturing toward the table. "Please take a seat." He sat. Tyler didn't. His eyes stayed locked on the nameplate on my desk. Major General Haley Brooks. It was like watching someone rewrite their entire memory of you in real time. Commander Marshall finally noticed his hesitation and frowned. "Sergeant Brooks, you all right?" Tyler's jaw tightened. He swallowed hard, eyes flicking between his commander and me. "Ma'am," he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "Ma'am, you're the general?" The room froze. Haley VO. It's funny how one sentence can echo through every version of your past. I saw the rain that night again. The laughter at the dinner table. My father's smirk. Every doubt they'd thrown at me, dissolving in the silence of that moment. I stood, slow and deliberate, letting my boots meet the floor with weight. "Yes, Sergeant," I said softly. I am. His commander looked between us, realizing what this was, a family reunion layered with years of unspoken history. Well, Commander Marshall cleared his throat. Looks like the Brooks family has quite the legacy. I smiled politely. It took a few generations to get it right, sir. He chuckled, unaware of the tension under the surface. Understood, ma'am. With your permission, I'll let my team settle in. Granted. When the door closed behind him, the silence that remained wasn't military anymore. It was personal. Tyler exhaled shakily. I didn't know. I folded my arms, not in anger, in control. You didn't ask, I said. He flinched. I thought you, he stopped, words fumbling. We thought you failed. Dad said you were barely hanging on somewhere overseas. I tilted my head. And you believed him. He nodded, shame flooding his face. Haley Vio. There it was, the boy who once laughed at me, standing small in front of the sister he never believed in. I could have humiliated him, but revenge felt beneath me. Instead, I walked to my desk, picked up the framed photo that sat beside the flag. Me and my unit, smiling, dusty, alive. I didn't fail, Tyler, I said quietly. I built something. I earned this. He swallowed hard. I see that now, he whispered. I don't know how to face Dad. I met his eyes. Maybe start by facing yourself.
Beat.
Soft ambient wind through the window. He nodded, eyes glistening, and for the first time since we were kids, I saw humility there. Real, raw humility. Haley Vio. Sometimes, victory doesn't come with applause. Sometimes it's just the quiet realization that you became everything they said you couldn't. Soft swell of strings. Sound of distant marching. That day, I didn't need to say, I told you so. The stars on my shoulders said it for me. Haley Vio. That night, I didn't sleep much. The briefing ended hours ago, but Tyler's face, that stunned, speechless look, lingered in my mind like an echo. I poured myself a cup of coffee and stood by the window, watching the floodlights sweep over the field. Somewhere out there, my brother's unit was settling in, unaware that his commanding officer was also his sister, the failure of the family. The next morning I called him to my office. No rank, no audience, just us. He stepped in, shoulders squared, eyes lowered. He looked like a soldier now, not the smug kid from our dinner table years ago. Permission to speak freely, ma'am? He asked. Always, I said. He took a breath. I owe you an apology. I nodded slowly. You owe yourself one first. He blinked. Ma'am? I motioned toward the chair across from me. Sit. When he did, I leaned forward. You grew up believing strength looked one way.
Loud. Male.
Untouchable. But it's not. It's showing up when everyone expects you to crumble. He didn't argue, didn't even look up. So here's what we're going to do, I continued. You're going to lead a mentorship program for female recruits in your unit. You're going to teach them respect, not pity, not condescension, respect. Because you owe them that. Understand? He straightened. Yes, ma'am. I studied him for a moment, then softened my tone. And when you see Dad next, you'll tell him I didn't need his approval. But I did need his belief. And maybe it's not too late for him to offer that to you. He exhaled, emotion flickering across his face, shame, maybe gratitude. I will. Brief pause, soft hum of the air conditioner. Later that week, my parents arrived on base. Dad's hair was grayer, his posture still proud, but his eyes avoided mine. Mom looked smaller than I remembered, nervous, like she didn't belong in this world of rank and salute. When they entered my office, I didn't stand to impress them. I'd already done that years ago. Dad cleared his throat. General Brooks. His voice cracked slightly on the title. Dad. I replied evenly. Mom. He looked around the office, the medals, the photographs, the command plaques. Didn't realize you'd come this far, he muttered. I didn't need you to, I said gently. I just needed to keep going. He nodded. No arrogance this time. Only quiet regret. Mom's eyes filled. We should have believed in you, Haley. I smiled faintly. You didn't have to. That's the thing about faith. It works even when it's one-sided. Soft instrumental swell. I laid my hands flat on the desk. But there's something I need from both of you. They exchanged wary looks. No more talking down to anyone chasing something hard. No more calling people too much or too emotional. You either lift them or you stay silent. Dad's shoulders dropped, the fight gone. Understood. Mom nodded through tears. We'll do better. Haley VO. And just like that, the power shifted. Not because I demanded it, but because I'd finally earned the kind of respect that doesn't need to shout.
Pause.
A quiet, peaceful sigh. They left my office that day humbled, silent, changed, and for the first time, I didn't feel like the outcast of the Brooks family. I felt like its anchor. Haley VO. Weeks passed. Orders, meetings, missions, life moved forward like it always does. But something felt lighter now. One morning, as I stepped into my office, my assistant handed me a small envelope. Came through internal mail, ma'am. Inside was a folded sheet of lined paper, messy handwriting, familiar curves.
Tyler.
Ma'am, I mean Haley. The mentorship program you made me start? It's working. Those recruits look at me like I'm someone worth listening to, not because of my rank, but because I finally learned how to listen. Proud of you, General. Tyler. I smiled. The kind of quiet, genuine smile that doesn't need witnesses. Haley VO. It's strange. The things that once hurt the most become the things that shape you. The laughter, the doubt, the silence from people you loved, they all became my training ground. Later that month, my parents visited again. No fancy reason, just lunch. Dad showed up in a crisp shirt, carrying a small box. Something of your grandfather's, he said softly. Inside was a photo. Grandpa in uniform, grinning, dog tag visible against his chest. On the back, written in faded ink. Make it mean something. I touched the cool metal tag around my own neck, the same one I'd worn since that stormy night I left home. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was carrying the weight of proving myself. I was carrying legacy and peace. Mom reached for my hand. You look happy, she whispered. I am, I said simply. Because I finally understand something.
Pause.
Gentle ambient hum, maybe a single violin note building. Haley VO. Strength isn't about rank, or medals, or applause. It's about grace, the quiet kind that forgives without forgetting. The kind that keeps walking, even when no one's cheering. Outside my window, a group of new recruits jogged past, shouting cadence in the crisp morning air. One of them looked up, caught my eye through the glass, and smiled. She reminded me of me, determined, a little scared, but unstoppable. I smiled back. Soft swell, then silence, her voice alone now. Haley VO. I used to think I had to prove my family wrong. Turns out, I just had to prove myself right.
Beat.
Deep inhale. They once said I failed. But failure was just the battlefield where I learned how to win.